Hey everybody, and welcome to Generally Speaking. I am your host, Jennifer Snook, and I am so happy to be here today. I hope everything has been going well in your world. Here is what's been going on in mine. Okay, you guys, so no shit, not even an hour ago, I had the craziest thing happen. And honestly, I've been a little shell-shocked. I knew I had to sit down for the pod, but this just happened, and it was wild. So, so I'm in LA, and I'm sure if you have paid any attention to the news, you heard about this treacherous rainstorm that we had, this atmospheric river that went up and down California. It's just actually now clearing out. So for the last 5 days, it has been treacherous in LA. It has been, brutal in LA. The road conditions have just been so unbelievable. Well, that incredible storm knocked out our satellite. So I had streaming services, but I had no actual TV, which meant that we needed to, get the cable guys in here as soon as possible to hook us up, because clearly there is a Super Bowl coming on Saturday. Sorry, not Saturday, Sunday. And hello, I could not be more invested, right? My Niners are there. I am so excited. I have been living for this game. I am just on pins and needles about it, quite frankly. So anyway, we called the cable, and they came out today to fix it, right? Well, the guy, we have a TV in the family room and one in the master bedroom, and the one in the master bedroom is connected under the house. I don't know how this all works, but the one connected to the master is connected under the house. So the guy went to the crawl space and went to go under the house. And just as he did, I flushed the hall bathroom. And I guess he was standing on the side of the house with Mike, and he jumped back because a bunch of stuff came flying out of a pipe, at him, and he jumped back. And then all of a sudden, he looked down, and there is raw sewage under my house, you guys. There is an uncapped sewage pipe, and it has deposited raw sewage under my house. So in calling today to get the cable over here to be fixed so that we could watch the Super Bowl, the guy just found this absolute nightmare underneath the house. So now that's what I'm dealing with. So now that is just, oh my gosh. And I already have a landlord who is so resistant to fixing things, and this is a health hazard, is what this is. The guy said this didn't happen yesterday. He says this has been like this. And honestly, we have been on our landlord to get this house in shape, but he just never fails to let us down. It's just been one bad situation after the next with this guy. And now I have another horrible situation, a very shitty situation. So I also don't have TV in the master because he can't get under the house to fix the cable because of the shitty situation. Not good. So, thank God for the storm. In one way, or I wouldn't even know what was happening under the house. However, I will say that I have been having some weird whiffs. Mike and I have been saying, what is that smell? What is that smell? Is something in the walls? And no, it's not. It's under the house. Oh my God, it's horrible. What a thought. The only upside of me only watching streaming services for the few days until the cable guy could get out here, though, was that I finally got some time to watch Traitors for the very first time. I watched on the first season. I think I watched maybe one episode, and it just didn't hook me. But I sat down and I really dove headfirst into the second season, you guys, and that Traitors is amazing. I mean, I've never watched a show like that. I've never watched a single season of Big Brother or any of those kind of mind game, all stuck in the same spot kind of games. But I get it now. I fully get it. I am so into the Traitors of it all. And I mean, oh, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. So yes, I'm eagerly awaiting the next episode. And let's see, what else happened this week? Oh, the Grammys, the Grammys last Sunday. Did you guys watch the Grammys? Firstly, I gotta say, I thought that the show as a whole was amazing. It was honestly the best Grammys that I have seen in a really long time. I loved almost all of it. I really thought it was a great show. I will tell you, the Joni Mitchell of it all was just so amazing for me. Having Tracy Chapman come out and do that fast car duet. I mean, I could get choked up right now thinking about it. But the Joni Mitchell of it all, I mean, from both sides now, that song is just such a killer for me. I mean, I was standing the entire time that she was up. But I'll tell, and then, you know, who else I was so thrilled to see was Celine Dion. I mean, to see Celine Dion on the Grammy stage was so good for my soul. I was so happy to see her there because, I mean, if you haven't heard, Celine has been so incredibly sick. She's been diagnosed with stiff person syndrome, which is so terribly debilitating. And they say that she will never sing again. And I just cannot imagine the not just physical toll, but the emotional toll that having your career, such a storied career, ripped away from you like that. So having her there presenting album of the year, you know, it felt like a big deal because, you know, it feels like we're losing people left and right. So it matters when you still have a great, you know, and she shows up to, you know, kind of like pass the torch. And I thought Celine was so sweet, the way she talked about how, I think it was it Tina Turner? No, not Tina Turner. Diana Ross. It was Diana Ross and I think David Bowie that presented her with Album of the Year when she won it. But then she got up and she presented the award. And the award went to the fabulous and wonderful Taylor Swift. But Tay really kind of bummed me out. And I was so sad to see her not kind of meet the moment and even acknowledge Celine in any way, shape, or form, because she just didn't. I mean, she took forever to get up there. And then once she got up on the stage, she just kind of flailed herself around, hugging and acknowledging everyone but Celine. And when she finally took the award out of Celine's hand, she didn't even make eye contact. She didn't say thank you. And then she got up and she gave a speech, and she never once said, and to be given this award by the incredible Celine Dion, or everybody give it up for Celine, or just anything. There was absolutely no acknowledgement of Celine being the icon that she is. And I mean, and I'm a Taylor Swift fan. I mean, I'm not a Swiftie, but I went to the Eras Tour. I get it. I think she's great and well on her way to becoming, you know, an idol in her own right. I mean, some would argue that she already is, but I just gotta say, hey, Tay, that isn't the way idols treat idols. So, you know, I mean, I know she has a lot on her mind and she might be a little, you know, I don't know, maybe a little HOD, and I know that her mind just may not have completely been in the game. Maybe it was in the wrong game. Maybe her head's already in the Super Bowl game and not in the musical game, but I don't know. I was really disappointed, but, and I just gotta say, I think that if the Chiefs perform this Sunday the same way that Taylor performed last Sunday, then it looks like my Niners might walk away with this after all. So anyway, that's what I'm hoping for. So, okay, that's what's happening in my world. Here's what's happening in the world of reality TV. I will tell you guys, things are getting messier and messier over in the OC. Alexis Bellino is just, I mean, it's like gloves are off. She is just posting her and Johnny J every chance that she can get. They are just already one big happy family. I mean, they are the Brady Bunch already, and it is something. And I'm just going to tell you, it is going to make for a very, very heated season, and I'm looking forward to it. Then we had more fallout from the whole Tres Amigas fiasco. So Vicky Gunvalson went on to Jeff Lewis's podcast and was giving her own bullshit side of the story about what went down with the Tres Amigas fallout with Tamara. And, you know, and I, firstly, even as I was listening to Vicky, everything she says to me just sounds like bullshit, because I feel like that's literally what she's made of. I don't feel like Vicky has a sincere bone in her body. I think that everything that she does, says, thinks, believes is filtered through a very distorted lens. And I think that Vicky has a horrible relationship with herself, and every single thing that she does, every move she makes, and I feel the same way about Shannon, is angled in a way to make her feel better. They have no loyalty to the truth or any semblance of actual facts. It is all just, they operate from such a wounded space inside of them that it's just, you know, they just throw anything against the wall that will stick and make them feel better in that moment, just because they're just so desperado. Both of them are as desperate as it gets to me. So she goes on to Jeff Lewis Live, spills all this bullshit all over the place about what went down. And then Tamara, who every time I say anything nice about Tamara, everyone comes at me. But people have to look at Tamara with clear lenses. The Tamara that you see today is not the Tamara that was throwing glasses on Gina. A glass of wine on Gina. Tamara has had a lot of growth and a lot of, you know, her own personal evolution. I think Tamara really is a different person. I think she looks at life through a different lens now, and I think Tamara has a much healthier relationship with the truth than Vicky or Shannon. I really do. I think that she tries to walk a higher path, one that is you know, a little more introspective. I think she is good at looking at herself much more than those other two are. I think they're so deep in denial that they can't see past their nose. So Tamara goes on to her own podcast with Teddy, 2T's, and just lays it all down. And Tamara has all the facts. She has all the receipts. She has everything that she needs to back it up. And I mean, and all that does is really just reinforce what you already knew, that Vicky is a complete liar and full of shit. Quite frankly, that is just the bottom line. So Tamara just went on and debunked everything that Vicky said, and just proved that Vicky is the loon that I've always known that she is. She is an episode of Generally Speaking in her own right, and we will leave it at that. And let's move on to someone who is the opposite of Vicky, someone who is tethered to her truth, someone who is rooted in what's real, and that is the one and only Kandi Burruss, who after the very beginning, day one, if you will, is finally walking away from the Real Housewives of Atlanta. And I just think that Kandi has been such an incredible personality on that show. I think she's been such a stabilizing force on that show. She has been a voice of reason, a voice of truth. She has, you know, she has been a good time, but not let people walk all over her. I think Kandi Burruss is the quintessential housewife. She is on my Mount Rushmore. She truthfully is. I mean, she's got staying power, she's got guts, she's got grace, she's got grit. I mean, and she's just a badass bitch. Kandi is worldwide. She really is. And she did the housewives a solid by sticking around as long as she did, and we are all better because of it. So hats off to you, Kandi. You can go get that EGOT, girl, because God knows you're not far away from it. And I think that is wonderful. So congratulations to Kandi Burruss. It was a wonderful run. On another note, you guys, so at work this week, I had, totally unrelated, but kind of in the same realm, I had the offspring of two separate housewives come into the salon this week. And after each of them left, I just thought that I had to mention how wonderful and sweet and what great energy both of them had. But knowing who their mothers are, I'm really not surprised. Okay, it's time for us to take a quick break, but stick around because when we come back, it's time for our weekly reality check. Welcome back. It's time for our weekly reality check. We're starting out this week in Potomac, where it was all about yoga pants and pot. Well, and the piping hot anger that Not So Zen Wen is still holding against the new girl, Nneka. So the show starts out with some of the women in a fabric store checking out different fabrics for Giselle and Ashley's new athleisure wear, G&A. G&A. You heard that right, you guys. That really is what they named their athleisure wear. I mean, clearly there's just no imagination there. G&A. Good job, girls. Anyway, let's put the name aside, and we're here with all the support, but the name does suck. But we support you. We really do. And I hope that your products and the way they perform are a lot better than that name. But I digress. So the women are all at the store. They're talking about ways to deal with camel toes and cooch sweat in the yoga pants, orbit. So that's what they're doing. And then they get to talking about Nneka being invited to Wendy and Eddie's Happy Eddie weed rolling event. And they come to find out that Nneka was indeed invited, except for the fact that it was less of an invite, and Wendy just kind of changed the party to an open invitation kind of thing. So, I don't know. It was less of a you're invited and more of a everyone's welcome to attend kind of situation. And Nneka did show up. She did attend in an effort, I think, in a genuine attempt to kind of move past the pre-existing issues that she'd been having with Wendy. So she gets there to the Happy Eddie weed rolling event, which ended up being more of an oregano rolling event. So, wah wah. That kind of sucks. But while she was there, she took Wendy aside and thanked her I don't know if she as much took her aside, but she made sure to thank her for inviting her, and she was very clear about how grateful she was to have been included, and and that was great. But Wendy just was not being so kind to Nneka. She was not really giving her anything. She was not reciprocating her feelings in any way, shape, or form. And then there was the Grand Dame, who she looked more like a lame duck, honestly. The way she came at Mia for not coming to Surrey was insane. Honestly, it didn't even make sense. She says to Mia, I can't believe you didn't come to Surrey. And Mia says, I told you I don't do second string invites, which I think is a fair thing to say. Who in God's name is going to get a second string invite that then demands that you're there, within like 12 hours or something, when you know that you weren't even one of the original guests invited? You're second string. So Mia says, I told you I don't do second string invites. And Karen says to her, and I quote, you weren't second string. You weren't even first string. You were a backup. I mean, hold on. And that's supposed to make it better? She says, I'm not second string. And then Karen says, you weren't first string. You weren't second string. You weren't first string. You were a backup. And she gets to be mad at Mia. I don't get it. She's nuts. Karen's nuts. And I swear to God, you guys, she wasn't even stoned. They rolled oregano. And then we cut to Nneka's new house for her unpacking party, which she, at the Happy Eddie party, invited Wendy to. She said, thank you again for inviting me. I would like to extend an invitation to you to my unpacking party. And Wendy just blanked her. She just completely blanked her. There's not much nice about her. There's really not. So Nneka, you could tell that Nneka was a little disappointed when all of the ladies showed up with a smile on their face, but Wendy didn't show up at all. And then Wendy's friend went on to explain that, Wendy said she wasn't coming because she didn't feel comfortable. But, I mean, she could have at least had the common decency, right, to send Nneka a text and to tell her that. And then we cut to Wendy in the confessional and, I'm sorry, we cut to Zen Wen in the confessional, and she looks straight into the camera and says, am I just supposed to forget the way this girl came at me guns a-blazing when she first came into the group? And now you're asking me to unpack your boxes in your house? Girl, call U-Haul. Leave me the hell out of it. So, looks to me like those girls are going to have a long road ahead of them before they can find some peace. But, hopefully they'll get there. We've seen crazier things happen. Moving on to Vanderpump Rules. I gotta say, this episode was so much better than the first one. The first one was just more of, a reintroduction to a catch-up about, where everybody is since the scandal of it all. But this episode was just so much meatier. But you know what I came away with after watching this episode? What I came away with was just how dysfunctional Tom and Ariana were before Scandival happened, before he turned to Rachel and they started their thing. It was so toxic long before that. I mean, truthfully, they should have. I mean, I know hindsight is 20/20, and I fully believe that everything happens for a reason. But if you want to analyze this, they should have never bought that house. They should have been honest with themselves about where they were. But I don't think that either of them were ready to do that. I don't think they knew how to do that. And I think it's just unfortunate because I've been watching some old episodes of Vanderpump. They've just kind of been on in the background. Bravo's had them almost on loop. And you can just see Ariana and Tom and just how different they were. I mean, a long time ago, you guys, when he was just so anxious to marry her and to have kids and to plan a family and to create that future together. I think the problem with them is that they stopped growing a long time ago. And fundamentally, they were on different tracks. And I think Tom was compromising his need and desire and to have a family and grow in that direction. And I think he was hoping that Ariana would come around. And I think that maybe somewhere, Ariana made it very clear that she didn't want anything to do with kids. She told Lisa Vanderpump that she grossed out on babies and that, she was clear about that. I think that Tom was hoping that she would change her mind on that. And, I think when you don't honor your growth, I think that relationship was stagnant for a long time and they were staying in it for all the wrong reasons. And when you do things long enough for all the wrong reasons, eventually the universe interrupts the pattern. It interrupts the pattern, it shakes things up, and it does that to reset you and realign you with your truth, basically to get you back on track because you've wandered so far away from where you should be. You've become untethered to your truth, right? And you're living and operating within a false construct. The universe will shake you up to reconnect you with the seat of your soul, to like, here we go, we're going to give it another shot. Like, it will get you out of a bad situation if you are in it long enough. And that's exactly what happened with Tom and Ariana. And Ariana can curse that house and she can try to make Tom pay. But the truth of the matter is that she co-created that situation every day that she decided to stay in it, when she knew in her heart that she was done growing there. And we can see that she was done growing there because once she's out of that situation, you can look at the growth that has happened. There's no way that she would be where she is now. My daughter just went to see Chicago on Broadway just because she was dying to see Chicago, didn't even know that she was going to be starring on Broadway as Roxy Hart, but she is. And that's fabulous for her. But I'm here to tell you that would not have happened without everything that came before that. So as much as situations suck, sometimes you have to have a setback before you have your comeback. And most times those comebacks are more in alignment with your truth. And then you can look back and realize how, you probably should have gotten out of that a long time ago. And then that's all, but it's all part of the process. But the important part is to not look back and blame other people. Ariana has to start taking accountability for her part in the process of everything that led to Scandival. Okay, anyway, then bouncing over to Barcelona, where the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills were living it up. And I have to say, I was so pleased with this episode. I felt like Beverly Hills finally gave us a good episode. I loved it. I think it's been a super long time since I felt like an episode of Beverly Hills was that satisfying. And I was a happy camper. I mean, I loved it. Did you guys? You must have loved it. I mean, because it was that good. Like, I feel like it universally was just great. I mean, the Merce in the purse of it all, and Merce's ashes landing all over the ladies. I mean, hilarious. That's great. Poor Garcelle said not only did they get all over her back and her dress, but she said that Merce made his way into her mouth and that she could taste him. I mean, for the love of God, Jesus, help us. That is horrible. I mean, hilarious, but horrible. Then the women all set an intention. They all had their flower lays, and then they all set an intention to let go of something that had been, weighing on their heart and weighing them down spiritually. And it created a really beautiful environment where the women could be vulnerable and share things that really meant a lot to them. And I think in doing so, it created empathy and understanding. And I think that it really was beautiful, and it brought the women together, and hearing what Garcelle said and what Kyle said and what Erica said, and truthfully what all of the women said, everything that everyone said, I thought was genuinely so touching and felt very authentic. And I think it brought them all a lot closer together. It genuinely felt like some element of healing had happened, and all the ladies could feel it. So they gathered together and they ended the day with a beautiful group hug, and then they went on their way. They got ready for dinner. Everyone put on a fabulous red dress. Well, except for Kyle. Hers was more of a red suit, but you get the picture. They go to dinner and they end the night dancing flamenco on the stage at a beautiful Spanish restaurant. So then the women say adios to Barcelona and head back to Beverly Hills. And it's in Beverly Hills that we find Erica rehearsing for her Bet It All on Blonde residency, and where we find Dorit and Kyle sitting down for a kiki about what's really going down between her and her hubby. And I got to tell you guys, Kyle really gave up some poignant information, and we got a lot of insight as to what actually led to Kyle and Mauricio being, honestly, at the point that they're at today. And you could tell what Kyle has, how hard it's been for Kyle, and it's tough. And I think that given the magnitude of everything that Kyle's been going through, I think that she has handled this whole thing very gracefully. And it's not easy. And you can see that it's not easy for her, and it's not easy for any of them. But truthfully, life's not supposed to be easy, because if it was easy, we would never learn anything. Okay, you guys, it's time for us to take a quick break, but when we come back, it's time for questions and answers, so stick around, you won't want to miss it. Welcome back. It's time for questions and answers. Our first one comes from Cheryl Manville in Tampa, Florida, who wants to know what I think of the rumor that the RHONY cast is being blended. And I have to tell you, Cheryl, I have heard this. And I got to tell you guys, I love it. Honestly, I love the idea of it. I think, why don't we do that? I mean, I think that would be brilliant to really just kind of, why can't we just mash it up? Why? I think this is a genius idea, you guys. I really do. I don't know how you pick who. I don't know if you mash the entire two casts together and just come up with like a jumbo cast and then just kind of weed out from there. But I do think there is something kind of incredible about the thought of just mixing it up like that. I loved that RHONY Girls Getaway so much, that girls trip that they did, that it really made me miss those ladies. Even though I really did, I was down with the New York cast. I really was. I was invested. I was here to grow with it, and I still am. But just imagine how amazing it would be if we could we need a little Luann. We need a little, I thought I was done with Dorinda, and now I kind of feel like maybe the show could use a little Dastardly Dorinda and Jenna Lyons. I mean, it could be interesting. Dorinda and Jessel, a little Sonia and Bryn. I mean, come on. I would be so into that. Our next question is from Minnie Della Ragosa. Minnie Della Ragosa. I love to say that. Della Ragosa. From Hilton Head, South Carolina. Hilton Head. We know Hilton Head. Anyway, Minnie asks, now that Candy is leaving, do you think they should replace her with someone new or try to bring back a fan favorite? Oh, that's another good question. It really is a good question. Yeah, with Atlanta, where it's at right now, the fact that Candy is leaving, I say you have to replace Candy with a fan favorite. I really do. I think that right now, the problem with Atlanta is that it was just, I don't know, it became too fragmented. It didn't feel like there was really a cohesive friend unit in there to me. And so I think in order to kind of bring that back, you can't go just building on the fragments that were. You have to bring back some like foundational pieces. And I tell you, the foundational piece, my favorite foundational piece would definitely be Portia. I think Portia she's right up there for me. She's more Mount Rushmore quality. She really is. Portia is at the top of the Housewives pack in my book. So I think you have to bring. I don't think you can bring Nene Leakes on. I think it would have to be and yeah, it would have to be Portia. Portia's the one you want. Portia's solid. She's stable. She's funny as hell. That's what she is. Funny as hell. Okay, our last one. Oh, well, now I see why we chose that one. The last one is from Maribel Santos from Boston, and she asks if I've heard the rumors about Kim Zolciak returning to Bravo, and if I think they are true. And I will tell you, Maribel, I truthfully have not heard anything that I feel is solid or valid about Kim Zolciak returning to Bravo. And to be honest, I know Bravo is not perfect, but I think that they're smarter than that. There's no way that you can look at the absolute chaos surrounding Kim and Croy and their family right now and think that anyone would want to have anything to do with that. I mean, it's just so dysfunctional and clearly a thought or the result of some long-standing misguided thought processes. I mean, you know, they didn't land in this position just overnight. This is a pattern of bad decisions. So why would anyone want to get into bed, you know, figuratively speaking, with someone who has a track record of making such horrible decisions? It wouldn't make any sense. So yeah, I don't see it. I really don't see, I don't see any world where Kim returns to Bravo. I really don't. Anyway, you guys, this is where we would normally do our Hello Caller segment, but we're holding off on that this week for technical purposes. I haven't liked the quality of our sound during our Hello Caller segments. So next week we're going to be doing it via video. So I'm excited about that. So we're holding off this week. We'll be back with Hello Caller next week. So that means that we're going to wrap up right here for the day. But before we go, I want to leave you guys with an important little nugget of knowledge for your knapsack of facts. This one I've been saying for years, and I've actually been saying it a lot this week, actually. So I'm going to share it now with you, and that is this. Life is a series of shifts, and the more flexible you are, the less life hurts. Remember that. And please remember to hit that follow button and give us a 5-star rating. It would be great if you could leave us a comment. And if you want to submit a question for the pod, you can email me at jennifer@jennifersnook.com. You can follow me on TikTok at This Is Generally Speaking and on Instagram at The Jennifer Snook. I've loved spending this time together with you guys. I hope you have a great week. I hope you enjoy the Super Bowl. And as always, stay rooted in love. And let's go 49ers!